Hello, welcome to Calls with Your Kinky Bestie. I'm Emma. I am a submissive and mentor for fellow kinksters. This podcast is all about insights into kinky life and dating, sharing my personal experience and stories, and help share mindset shifts too to get you into a confident space, more confident than you are now. So get ready. It all starts now.
Hello and welcome back, lovely, lovely bestie. So excited to chat with you today. The topic is martyrdom and kink. So I don't mean a martyrdom kink. We're not actually talking about death or anything like that. Maybe a different way to phrase this would be self-sacrifice. Like whenever submission turns into self-sabotaging. Because I think that's, something that us as submissives, we tend to be a little bit more susceptible to because we're just so eager to please and support other people that we, got to be aware of where to really draw the line, especially whenever, that's our role as subs, is to know where our boundaries lie. Like that's kind of our one job is to know our boundaries. So we'll talk about how to find your boundaries around that for your well-being. Yay. And all sorts of cute stuff. So excited to dive into that. Also just some fun little cute life stuff. My partner and I have recently been playing with chastity. And I am the sub, so he got me a chastity belt for my birthday, which was, a couple months ago now. Oh no, just last month. What am I talking about? So that has been really, really fun. You definitely need to be hanging out on Instagram if you're not already, because that's where all the silly stuff with the play comes out first. Because I'm having so much fun with it. We're not wearing I'm not doing this 24/7 or anything. For me, it's more of a foreplay, exciting piece. And I'm really learning that being super horny and not having the ability to do something about it is really fucking fun. But it is messing with my brain a little bit. Oh my God, I accidentally locked myself and my car keys and my chastity keys all inside of my house because I was rushing to go be with my partner because he promised he would let me out and we would do a lovely play thing. So silly. Because I have heard all these hilarious stories about, people losing their chastity keys, and I always thought, well, that would never happen to me. How could you do that? Turns out it's just the horny makes you a little crazy. So that's really fun. Other things going on. You just have a day or two left at the time of listening to this to get a personal, lovely, kinky oracle reading from me. I was just doing these as a little test, fun thing. So bring me your kinky queries if you want some guidance on something, you want some insight, you want, just another perspective. This is the time to get it. And this is a really fun and easy way to, work together and get those insights and just experience something different and practice, playing and getting in touch with your intuition a little bit further as a sub too, which is really, really lovely. So that's going on. Also, if you haven't gotten the free Kink Shame Healing Oracle reading that I chatted about last week, that is available too. I'll have links to all of the things in the show notes as always. And what else is going on? Anyone else interested in entrepreneurship, kinky entrepreneurship and starting their own businesses? Because funnily enough, this is something that before I even had my first paid mentorship client, which I call them my mentees. People have been asking me about, starting their own kinky businesses and stuff, which I love and support. So I recently shared my entire, toolbox or tech stack of all the different software I use in that, because it really took a ton of trial and error to find, software that is okay for kinky people to use, because there's a lot of software marketed towards business owners that is not kink friendly, I've learned. So I share that entire toolbox as well. Also, the link for that will be in the show notes. That's just a free blog post because I want everyone to have that info. And that's what's going on. So, okay, let's talk about martyrdom and kink. So to be clear, I think this can show up both ways. So meaning I think subs Like we definitely have to be on the lookout for this, but I also think this is something that doms are susceptible to as well, especially doms who have like a lot of caretaking in their nature. It can really like easily tiptoe over the line of basically we're wanting to support our partner so much that we let ourselves take a hit for that, and yeah, sacrifice some piece of ourselves. So I think where the line is of where that's negative versus just part of, being in a relationship or serving a person is going to be super personal to everybody. But I figured I would share, like, for me, what that looks like, so that you can find this for yourself as well. So for me, this looks like obviously like physical well-being pieces. So if serving my partner means that so much of my bandwidth is kept up that I'm not able to care for my own self or my home, or even, like I have an animal in my care, I need to be able to care for them. Excuse me. That's just kind of like ground line basics. Like I need to be able to take care of myself in order to take care and serve anyone else. And I know that sounds really basic, but like that's something that I have struggled with within my relationships, especially whenever I was like younger and newer to my kink journey, where I was still figuring out how to take care of myself in a lot of ways as a neurodivergent person. And I think, we all are, especially if you're neurodivergent too, though, and have some sort of executive dysfunction or just, yeah, lowered executive functioning. Got to be super tuned into and aware of that. So that's like a very clear boundary of like, okay, I can't take care of others until I'm able to take care of myself in ways. And that is a really lovely piece about BDSM, of course, is that I'm able to, we're able to hack our lovely little subby brains who just want to do what we're told, by, you can hack your partner and ask for their support in this way. So they're almost like doming you into taking care of yourself. Which is a super lovely way to like trick your brain into thinking, this is like novel and exciting enough for you to do it, which is, I think, why a lot of folks who are neurodivergent are so interested in this kink world. Because, yeah, it's just fun, novel, different ways of looking at even super simple, like basic self-development concepts and actions, which is so fucking lovely and cool. But, okay, so another area that this, I think, can toe in is life values. Like, what your ultimate goal is for your life. So for me, like one of my values is like I don't have an interest in raising children. So I am child free. The boundary I've set around that is I'm only, going to commit to people who are also on that child-free realm and don't have desires to have children, because I know that would not be like, that's not aligned with how I want my life to go. So that's like a little bit more of an extreme example, but there's so many other ways that this can tie in. So it could be even things like, one of my other values is I am super interested in self-development, right? And like always looking for like, what's the next thing that's going to up-level my life. Like I always want my steps and my life path to be moving forward and like what's the next thing. So I don't like intentionally choose situations that I think would be like holding me back, and like this is a little tricky to talk about, right? Because this looks for everybody, and of course this is totally like a mental bias thing. But for me, some of that ties into like location and like moving. So my partner is going into a career change, and depending on the route that he goes with that, it might involve like having to move like multiple times over years. And I think where the problem gets to be is if the sacrifice that you're doing for your partner is either something not small, like you're sacrificing something quite big, but also like the time span of it. Like if something is temporary, like I know that sometimes folks go into long distance relationships, but there's like the part of that I can get behind is when there's an end date, right? Like okay, because a long-term relationship is not my end all be all life goal. So I'm, able to commit to this if by this time, like there is a plan in place for us to live together, because that's like the ultimate thing that I want. So I think whenever that's not in place, and whenever you are kind of sacrificing something with no end date in sight, or the other person, also taking steps to get you the thing that you need, I think that's where it tiptoes into that like self sabotage or just abandonment of self territory, where it really gets to be detrimental. Because there's a big difference between something being like a compromise or like sacrifice versus, I think with the life values thing, it ties into incompatibility. Like, well, just the directions that we're going in our lives are incompatible for the growth that both of us want. So that is a big piece. So I am so curious to hear from y'all. Like, what are the ways, like, what are your boundaries after hearing this and learning more about this, and maybe just seeing an outside perspective from me? Like, where are your lines as a sub, and where do you see like serving someone becoming a disservice to yourself? Super lovely. And oh, another like way I was trying to think about this, because obviously like we can love people, and also they can not be right for you. And there's so much scarcity mindset in kink just because there's so much shame around it that so many people are hiding, or even if they, have desires, aren't interested. Well, maybe they're interested and they have the desires to participate in it, but are denying it because of the shame and whatever. So we're a smaller community to begin with. And then you consider that, yeah, a lot of folks are just like too scared to even talk about it or openly share or find people that are interested in the same things. So there's a lot of this scarcity mindset in the kink community, which I don't know. We've talked about this in the past. I I don't think that's actually the case, that you don't have a ton of options, but with that added layer of a lot of people feel scarcity in this community, it can be like, I think we're more willing to overlook some of these life incompatibility pieces, and are, a little bit more lasered into, but I love this person, but I can do these kinky things with this person, which feels so good, which I haven't been able to get from others so far. And I think that's really, for me, that's been the difference. Like whenever I've dated like vanilla versus when I've dated kinky, I've definitely, whenever I've been with kinky people, have been much more, I guess like lenient, lenient with like, yeah, my boundaries and life goals and where I see things going. And I know I'm not alone in that. I know other people are going through that too. So I wanted to vocalize and verbalize, hey, there's a point where this gets to be martyrdom, and it's not in the best interest of you as a human. So like, let's just talk about it and be aware of it. Yay. And then the other little thing I really love about kink and how I perceive it these days is that these relationships are meant to amplify who we are and what we get to experience. And, that's really the point of bringing another person or people in, is to create shared experiences and build a life together. And it's really meant to grow you as a person and not so much minimize pieces of yourself. So I think where it becomes a little bit less clear of a boundary between like, okay, this type of action deliberately or like very obviously impacts my well-being. I think with so many, even of the smaller or temporary compromises or sacrifices, there's even a limit to that, where if you notice yourself like maybe changing, or if you don't really feel like yourself around a person, you notice yourself changing your behaviors a lot and it doesn't feel mutual. I think there's also a level to that where it starts to get into territory of like, I'm minimizing myself. And the, relationships, and especially kink relationships, I think what's so powerful about them is that they can, and I prefer for them to amplify you and your life and yourself and your self-development and all that kind of good stuff. So that's another little thing to put on your radar. And I think this is why self-development is constantly important too. And whenever that's at the front of your radar and you're able to constantly be looking at that and aware of it, you'll start to notice more frequently whenever, the people you're around, the things that you're doing are not in the best interest of yourself. So, okay. That's all I've got for you today. I hope this was helpful and clicked some things into place for you. And yeah, tomorrow night will be the last day to get those personal oracle readings, at least for right now. I don't know if I kind of have a vision in my head to offer them in a different way in the future, like maybe within the context of some one-on-one work, where it would be like, a longer session together so that we can really get to know each other and tie off loose ends with it. But my intention with this was just to be able to provide quick guidance to people who are maybe not ready to start a mentorship relationship and like really get to know each other, and instead just like want to lay out a situation and get some feedback and insights and like kind of prompts to like probe deeper internally for how they can be thinking about that too, from a kinky person who gets it. So a little bit more context with these, if you've not done so this is a virtual oracle reading, and it's kind of asynchronous. So I'll give you an intention setting form, like automatically with purchase. That's kind of like a guided, I've designed it to be really easy. So there's a lot of radio buttons rather than you having to fill out a bunch of blank spaces with texts. But obviously there are some blank spaces because there's going to be some personal stuff to you that I need some context in. But it's designed to be very simple. So it shouldn't take more than 10 minutes to and it also helps you get clear on what guidance would be helpful to look for, even if you don't know, like right when you're hearing, an oracle reading would be interesting. Even if you don't have the question on your mind right away, that is what this intention setting form is for, is to help you narrow down like, okay, what's like sticking out the most? Like what is impacting my life the most? And yeah, where do I feel like some confusion or clarity, or where in my life am I trying to develop and learn more, and all that kind of good stuff, just in a super easy process. And then the oracle reading is not live, like it's not a video call with me, so we don't have to pick a time or anything. I just get your information and do an oracle reading over video and send that to you, as well as, a text write-up of what was chatted about in the video as well, if you don't want to go through it or just prefer to read things that way. So I've been having so much fun with these. I think it is such a fun, and yeah, I'm glad that it has followed through with the intention of like, I'm noticing people are feeling this is easier and like less intimidating than doing the whole like one-on-one mentorship experience. So I'm really glad to be able to provide some guidance and connection and insight in a different way than usual. It has been super fucking fun. So I would love to see, your intention in my inbox. I'll have the link in the show notes as well for you to go ahead and grab your reading. And if you're listening to this like days after things are posted, I don't know. I want to offer the oracle reading in the future. It just might look differently than the way I just described. So still check out the links, even if you're not listening to it immediately. I'm sure I will put something else there to be explored as well. And who knows, maybe this will be like a recurring thing, like once a year I'll do this, where the readings will just be on their own. I don't know. That's kind of the beauty of it. This is my business. So I get to kind of follow my whim and my joy and what I feel called to, which has seemed to work really well for y'all as well. All right. Well, I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. And yeah, let me know as well, what are the insights and like the personal boundaries and just like, pieces that clicked into place for you hearing about this self-sacrifice versus service piece of submission. Because I'm always so curious to hear how that works out for you, because it's different for everyone, right? All right. Chat next week. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me this episode. You can follow the podcast on the platform where you're listening to get updates with new episodes. You can follow me on social media at Kinky Bestie. I'm on Instagram. You can also check the show notes for any links or resources that I talked about in this episode, or just more ways to connect with me. And please share this with your kinky friends who could benefit from this type of content. There is also an option for each podcast episode to engage with Q&As or polls. So I'd love to hear from you and create future episodes around what you want to chime in with. So please check those out in the show notes too. And I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.